Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Welcome to Hashtag Pastor Besties. This is Melissa.
That's Nicole. Hey, Nicole, do you know what we're going to talk about today on Hashtag Pastor Besties?
Something fun and exciting.
Sure. We're going to talk about something that I can think of at least one person liking.
Well, obviously, it's not the Hamilton musical.
I love Hamilton.
Who
so
doesn't,
much.
right?
Oh my
everybody.
gosh. Well, we're going to talk about criticism.
Ooh. All right. Well, stick with us. Wow. Criticism is not my favorite topic.
Not mine either.
Who loves criticism? Like nobody. Nobody.
And there's different kinds of criticism.
Yes.
So there's the constructive criticism.
Right. There is just mean and nasty.
Yeah.
Mean-spirited criticism. I
Yeah.
don't like that.
Well, I don't think many people like mean criticism.
But here's the thing. Like, we live in a culture that loves criticism. Not to
Absolutely.
be criticized, but to criticize others.
Yeah. I mean, I think of like most of the reality shows that I watch that are competition-based reality shows, they've got judges on there. And even if they're the nice Paula Abdul judges,
Right.
they're still offering some critique, which may or may not be helpful.
Right. Or sporting events. I was
Oh.
watching a hockey game, Let's Go Blues, last night, and they were like criticizing the coach for making this error and putting in the goalie. I mean, it was like tons of time spent on criticizing.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, and social media.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you ever run into a critic on social media?
No, what are you talking about?
Oh my gosh.
Well, I mean, think about it. If you see somebody like at the Oscars in a dress, and if you put, well, I just don't care for her dress, that does not get even a like or a retweet, right? But if you make like some nasty, hilarious comment,
She looked like a pineapple wearing that dress.
retweeting all day long. It's just the culture that we live in.
It
We
is.
think that we can say whatever we want on social media and not be,
Right.
held accountable for it, because we aren't for the most part.
Right. Well, and I think there's a fine line, too, of sharing your opinion and just being nasty. So
Yes.
nasty and so rude. Any like shout out?
That's right. It's true, though, because, you can sort of just hide behind your computer and do
Yeah.
whatever you want.
Yeah. I mean, if you wouldn't say it to someone's face, why are you saying it not to their face? And if you would say it to their face,
Maybe reevaluate your life
make
choices.
some better life choices. We're critiquing that critiquer, criticizing the criticizer.
But we're giving you constructive criticism.
It's also meta.
It sort of is.
It is. So there's like the big criticism, and there's
Oh.
things that you can expect criticism coming from. Like if you have a yearly review,
Right.
you can expect some criticism to come.
I prefer to call them growing edges.
They are. We'll get to that later, Nicole.
Right. Well, I just like it.
Well, I do too. But there's there's the big stuff, like
Right.
and then there's the little stuff. And Rob Bell
Right.
calls it the death by paper cuts.
Ooh.
Because it's those little things that just keep adding up. That it may not seem like the one may not seem like a big deal, but then it's added to another one and to another one and to another one.
And then it just never stops.
Yeah.
And you bleed out
Right.
from paper cuts.
From paper cuts.
Oh, gosh, I really like that. That
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So can you think of like a small comment that you may have heard that would have, it wasn't a big deal, but then it may have,
Yes.
Just add it on.
Can I just tell you what somebody told me this week?
yeah, please
If you
do.
keep working really hard, someday you can be a good minister.
Oh, I've heard that before.
Not nice.
Yeah.
Not the nicest.
Yeah. There's I can tell that you did something different with your sermon.
Or your sermon was interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, or my personal favorite. People are saying.
Who are these people? Where do they reside?
It's the elusive people and the elusive someone.
That's right.
Someone should do something about that.
Yes. You know what, though? Like, I find that those comments stick with me. You know, they just stick with me. And it's so hard to, like, push them aside.
Do you know
even though
there's-
they're little ones.
Yeah, there's a science reason for this.
Science?
Science!
I feel like Bill Nye should like pop out right now and share some wisdom with us, but we'll take it
I'm
from
going
you.
to share the wisdom.
Okay, let's hear it, Bill
Because
Nye.
I'm so scientific. So the science behind this is that in your brain, a negative comment or experience imprints itself immediately on your brain. So something negative immediately imprints.
Makes sense.
Something positive, a positive comment, a positive experience, it takes up to 20 seconds of thinking about that before it imprints itself on your brain. So when you think about, like, I received 1,200 emails today, and 1,199 of them were positive, and one of them was not.
Right.
What keeps you awake at night?
The one that wasn't.
The one.
Yes.
So it's...
that makes so much sense.
Yeah,
because
right?
rarely do we take the time to actually focus on the positive, because we're just like, oh, thanks, and then let's move along.
Yeah, I mean, and to take 20 seconds to think about nothing else, like, whose brain does that?
I'm gonna like force my brain to do that.
Yeah,
though.
you
I
really
like
have to
that
train
idea.
yourself.
That just sounds great.
Yeah.
I think one of the things, though, when we're giving criticism is we have to be constructive with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it really depends on the delivery and who it's coming from. So when I was in my first appointment, I had somebody come up to me. It was like my first sermon at this new appointment. I was like a new little pastor, right?
So cute.
I know. And after the sermon, the one thing they said to me was, you really dropped the end of your sentences so nobody can hear you. Okay, like, that was probably true, but not really said in the most constructive way. Like, how about hey, that was a really good sermon. You might want to work on,
Sure.
That's how you do constructive criticism and do it well.
Well, I think constructive criticism usually comes from a place of love, and knowing that it comes from a place of love. And so there's sometimes, like, when someone will offer constructive criticism, that sometimes it just depends on the day. I mean, there are some days that I hear constructive criticism and I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. Let's work on it. And there's other days where I'm like, oh my gosh, you just like ripped out my heart.
Right.
So sometimes it just depends on the day and what's happened that day.
And who delivers it to you and how well they know you, and if you think that they're on your side and want you to succeed.
Right.
All of those things play into it.
Right. And I think as pastors and as preachers, I think several of our examples of the death by paper cuts were about preaching. And I think that there's something about preaching that we're vulnerable in that. We're sharing our hearts, we're sharing our thoughts.
Our authentic self.
Yes. And so there's it can be critiqued. It might be painful. I mean, because we're just putting ourselves out there that much.
Right. And that doesn't mean you can't share criticism with us, but it means be gentle with us.
Sure.
Be gentle with each other.
Right. And sometimes in constructive criticism, like, I can rationally know that something is not valid.
Right.
And it still hurts my heart.
Yes, you can know it up here, but down here it just like it aches. So like, how do you reconcile the two?
Well, how do you reconcile it?
I'm really bad at it because I'm all heart, like I might think so much with my heart instead of with my head. Right. So I guess I just have to like pray about it and kind of come to a place where God has to help me to see how to do that right, because I don't naturally do that on my own. Right.
Well, I think that sometimes in looking for that and like praying about it and trying to find in that criticism, like what might be the kernel of truth. Right. Because there's probably there's a truth in there.
There is always a truth.
Right.
Sometimes it's itty bitty teeny tiny.
Like a little tiny mustard seed.
Sometimes it's really large.
Like an avocado pit.
But we have to just find the truth in it so that we can work to become better. Right. Because if we never listen to any criticism, you're not going to grow as a person. No. And we all want to grow and be better. Right. So you just have to find that truth. Sometimes the truth is that it wasn't really a criticism, but it was racism or sexism or ageism or something like that. And so you can kind of just let that go. But most of the time, there's probably something to it that you can work to improve on yourself, which is a good thing.
Yeah. I think as leaders, when we're in a leadership position, we do put ourselves out there for criticism.
Yes.
I mean, we're sometimes making bold decisions, making difficult decisions.
We're speaking on God's behalf. So
it is part of the job.
Right.
It is part of the gig. It goes with the territory. We know it. So I think that part of dealing with criticism too, you also have to become a master of forgiveness. You have to learn how to forgive people and let things go and not hold it against people.
That's so hard sometimes because when your heart has really been hurt, it's hard to let go. But to hold on to it is death. It's not helpful to anybody.
No.
And it can really cripple your ministry.
Absolutely. And so in that forgiveness, I think that you have to develop a thick skin and a tender heart. So you have to...
Like a little baby elephant. Oh, yes, I love it.
Yeah.
That's so hard to do, though.
It is. It is. I can think of a person who was really mean to me and offered criticism that wasn't always valid and wasn't always true. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it was. Most of the time it wasn't, but was very mean. And there came a time when they were in the hospital and thought that they were dying and called their pastor, who is me. And I'm sitting at the bedside of this person knowing that they have said some really terrible things to and about me. And they, as we were talking about their fears and what might happen, they said, well, maybe we should talk about forgiveness. And I said, here's the deal. We can do that part another time. I've already forgiven you. Mm-hmm. I'll ask for your forgiveness too. We can talk about that later. Here's what we're dealing with now.
Wow. What a powerful moment.
It was. And it wasn't easy. And it didn't mean that I didn't sob in the car on the way home or that I almost didn't go to the hospital because I was hurt.
Right.
And you have to develop this thick skin and a tender heart.
You have to be okay with who you are and know that, like, even though you're going to make mistakes, that your intentions are always good or most always good. Mm-hmm. And you just have to be okay with who you are so that you know when that criticism comes along that your worth isn't determined by people, your worth is determined by God.
Yeah.
And so when that criticism comes along, that's a little easier to swallow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the other thing that is really helpful for me is having a ride or die group.
Oh, yes.
That group of people that you just love and that you trust and that love you and trust you to be able to tell you the truth in love.
Right.
So that you can call up. There's people that I know that I can call up and be like, I need a double check. I don't think I'm in the wrong on this. Here's the situation. And sometimes they're like, actually, you were.
You know, that was the first thing I did when I came tonight to hang out with Melissa I was like, oh my gosh, listen to this thing that's going on at my church. And you listened and offered advice. And, you know, you have to have those kind of people in your life that you can check things against and make sure that you're not like going rogue somewhere crazy.
Right.
Absolutely. Right. That's so important.
Right.
But to tell you the truth in love.
Even when it hurts.
Even when it hurts. That's the key. It has to be done in love.
In love.
But if you have a group that loves you no matter what, then that's a given.
Yeah. Yeah. So find the kernel of truth. Practice forgiveness. Develop a thick skin and a tender heart.
Baby elephant. I love it.
And have a ride or die group. I'm the baby elephant?
No. Just be like a baby elephant.
Okay.
Tough skin, tender heart.
Ride or die. That sounded vicious.
Did.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, criticism.
People, you know what's going to happen? People are going to criticize this video.
Oh, ooh. It's going to happen. We're putting ourselves out there. It's going to happen.
Whatevs.
It's all good.
Yeah.
We're doing our best.
We're trying. So if you like what you watched, you know what? Even if you didn't like what you watched, you should like and subscribe. You
Definitely
should subscribe to our channel.
We would love that.
Yeah. So just click the little subscribe button and it'll be great.
It will be.
So may you know that before anything else, you are a beloved child of God who is not perfect and yet working on it. May you trust those who love you and may you trust those who love you to love you in the middle of your flaws and in the middle of your strengths. And may you keep trying to be the best that you can be.
See you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.